Okay, so hello and welcome back to Arbor FC. So, the second podcast which we are covering today, uh, we're interested in talking about Chelsea this season and the forthcoming season. So, let's begin.
Hi guys.
Okay, so how do you rate
Yeah, so
how do you rate Chelsea's performance this season?
the season, considering that they had a transfer ban and it was Frank Lampard's first season, it was pretty good. They still, I think, they're fifth position, right? As of now,
No,
the
they're
fifth,
third.
right?
They're third.
Okay, yeah, the third. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. To be honest, that's pretty amazing. Thinking that he's in his first season with a big club.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility given that he hasn't had a transfer window where he's able to buy players. And they have bought players now, but then that won't be. They'll only come in for the next season. So yeah, I think he's done a very good job, and he's defied all expectations.
Yeah, for me personally, when I look at Chelsea, I feel like Lampard has set an example for all the upcoming managers how it should align. In every club there is some legend who the club looks up to at some point to turn into a manager and do something great. But then it turns out not every club has reached that level. Okay, even if you talk about Arsenal, even if they're not performing well, Arteta, I feel like he's done something, and he can. And obviously, considering what he's done back in City as an assistant, it's pretty obvious that something might come out of it. Even they have a shot at FA Cup this season, which is forthcoming in the near future. And but Chelsea, I feel like when I mean by Chelsea, I'm pretty much referring to Frank Lampard at this point because what he did this season was very exceptional. Because coming into the club without any new players, just existing players and the youth players, he reached something that is something big. Even though they haven't won the league or something big in Champions League, which they're pretty sure to be knocked out by Bayern, even though the situation is like that in the European competitions. In the domestic league, they have done pretty well, considering they've come third with the existing squad and Frank Lampard, a new manager. So,
Yeah. Yeah. If you take out of the top six teams, United, Chelsea, and even Arsenal are undergoing a process. And if you look at it right now, Chelsea might be leading that, or I think United or Chelsea, might be leading that process. And a lot of credit has to go to Lampard for that. The way he's built a team around with the players he had, especially with the talents, the academy products, Mason Mount, what he's done with Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Tamori, and all those people. So it's pretty good. It's pretty amazing.
yeah. I feel like all the pretty much all the top six teams in Premier League are in a rebuild, and out of all these teams, I think Chelsea and United. The reason why I mentioned United is United has been rebuilding since like for the past 2 seasons or something, but Chelsea has been rebuilding their squad pretty much from the beginning of this season, and they started out with pretty much no one. Even though they have youngsters who are in different spells and different European clubs around for loans and all, but then experienced ones were really less. And Hazard really took the risk of taking all these players and doing something out of it. And considering the experienced ones, only I feel like the Willian and Giroud was there, who did something. And considering youngsters who were exceptional, the two names that stand out are Tammy Abraham and this guy Hudson Odoi, and also with the Mason Mount guy. So
Yeah, Tammy Abraham is Chelsea's top scorer in the league with 14 goals. So yeah, that is. And Hudson Odoi hasn't had a lot of chances, to be honest. He hasn't. He's a great player. And he hasn't had as many chances that. And I think he was injured for a while. So yeah.
yeah,
And Mason Mount is such a quality player. He's pretty much a box to box player. He can kind of play defense. Not entirely defensively, but he can support his teammates, and he's very good when they're in the final third. So yeah,
Okay. So, what do you think Chelsea should
and
do with the existing veterans? I mean, like William, Giroud, and all. Even though they're old experience and they're the only ones experienced in the team, and considering Pedro is leaving, do you think they should stay in the club or should they leave it? I mean,
since
like considering they're at this point in their career, even now, if the team is selling them, they can make some amount of money for them. And if contract extension takes place, they have to pay their wages. That's also a double thought for them. So, on an overview, what do
in
you think they should happen?
terms of Giroud, I think Giroud has to go because they signed. It depends on where Werner is playing. If he's playing as centre forward, I think it's better
I
for
mean,
Giroud to
Werner
leave
is meant for
because
centre forward, right? So, is there any
yeah,
point for
for
Giroud's?
yeah, so exactly. So Giroud could be a second striker, but then there's Tammy Abraham. So I don't think Giroud will be getting a lot of chances next season. So I think it's better for him to leave. And Willian has been a loyal servant to the club. I think at times when the club hasn't performed, he's been a consistent presence. For so many years. For so many years, and
But although,
he
okay,
will go
since
down.
since you brought up Willian, I don't feel like he performed the entire season at his best. Only after the post lockdown, he performed a much greater than he used to. But then, considering his caliber and what he can bring to the team, he hasn't been the player who was expected. And
Yeah, because
we are not sure what's going to hold in the future. Considering Zayek and all are coming in, his place might be taken. So
yeah, he's 31, so you have to account for the age too. But even then, that's not a huge difference. But there is a decline in the player that he was. That's definitely there. But he still has a so many good qualities. But then again with the coming arrival of Ziyech and possibly Kai Havertz, I think there's going to be a huge competition. It's almost like a Real Madrid situation in the attack, especially
yeah,
with
considering
talented players like
exactly talking about that. Even Lampard was
yeah,
saying like
Mark.
if we're talking about Hudson-Odoi, he was like, we're not going to let him go, but then he has to prove what he can bring to the team in in the internal competition of the club for positions. So
Yeah.
that's there. And considering, let's talk about Tammy Abraham now. Seeing Chelsea being very open to buying very expensive player like Tino Werner, what do you think his role is going to be? Considering he's very young and he scored so much goals in the first season. So
I mean,
and
yeah, he's a treasure for Chelsea to keep. What
okay,
Lampard does with them
listen, but
is
even if he's a treasure, I mean, you don't just keep the treasure; you have to use him at one point. I mean, if
yeah,
Werner
yeah.
is coming in, do you see him playing regularly like he used to? Obviously, his role is going to get
No,
reduced. So
yeah,
is
it
it
is
good
going to
for him? Is it good for him to stay in Chelsea or go for a loan?
no. He should stay at Chelsea because I think Werner can't play every single game. Premier League has four like English clubs. They have four, I guess, four competitions: Carabao Cup, FA Cup, possibly Champions League for Chelsea next season, and the Premier League. So the squad is always going to rotate, and Werner might not be playing every game, and I'm pretty sure that Tammy will get his chances, and maybe even Lampard might opt to play in a two striker formation. So yeah, I don't think it's a. I think he should stay. And still considering the fact he's still I think 20, probably turn 21 next year. He's got a lot of time ahead of him. He can be the number 9. So I don't think it's a good option for him to move. I think he should stay,
Yeah.
and Lampard needs him.
So talking about Chelsea, I feel like we both can agree that they need an entire restructuring of their defense, including the goalkeeper. So
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That kind of doesn't make sense because they're investing so much money. I mean, I know that there's a lot of time ahead for the transfers to happen, but they've invested such huge amounts of money. I know that there's been a year in which they couldn't make any transfers, so they're kind of compensating that for that. But then the thing is, they haven't made any kind of contributions to their defense. They haven't. I think probably with all the attackers, I think they just need I think they need a left back. I think right back is no. I think they just need a. If I Asplicate, I think they need a left back more than a right back because Asplicate is getting aged. He's such an amazing player. Probably the most important player in Chelsea.
The
So
yeah, the thing that surprises
Marcus
me
Alonso is not. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that surprises me the most about Chelsea's defense is that you see all these names, and most of the people in the squad are young who stay in defense. I mean, keeping up on Aspilicueta and Marco Alonso, but all the other youngsters who are pretty big in Europe in the young category, I feel like they can be good. It's not that the Chelsea's defense is entirely bad. I feel like they need someone to guide their defense in for near future references. So if you are
Yeah.
if you have a chance
They
of
miss.
bringing if you have a chance of bringing some defender to the Chelsea Football Club, who would you suggest? And if so, why?
Um. I mean, I don't think. Well, it depends. Well, it depends. Really depends because I don't think a lot of centre backs are available right now, except for some people like Upamecano from
Yeah,
Leipzig. And but
we're just
if
talking about a hypothetical situation, not entirely like
yeah, okay,
who
I
who.
think yeah, even I think they missed Terry Sugar. Um,
Yeah, John Terry,
but
someone strong back in the defense, like who could lead their
yeah,
team.
I
Yeah.
think yes. I have centre backs available today. I think I would go for um, um, I, the thing is, all centre backs are kind of, good at their club where they are. So I don't think any of the big ones, at the big clubs will be ready to make a move.
Yeah.
Um, um,
I mean,
then I, yeah, then,
it is pretty seen, it is pretty clear that Chelsea are going for a centre back. But then even now there are no rumors which link any centre
yeah, I
backs to
think
this club. But
Skriniar could,
Skriniar could
out
join,
of
but then
all,
there is no link or no contracts for him,
yeah,
contact rumors
there's
for him.
no, but then,
But
and I
all
haven't heard of any big defenders being linked. I thought Nathan Ake would come because he's their player and they have a buyout clause of 40 million or something. But then I think Man City has gone in for them. Chelsea haven't decided to
okay.
act on it, so I really don't know.
Keeping
But
apart,
I think
I feel like keeping apart all the experienced ones, the young ones who are really talented, I feel like three of them could turn out to be really great in this club. One is Tomori, then the next is Zuma, then the other one is Ampatu. What do you think of these three?
yeah, I really love Zuma. I've been because I've I used to play FIFA 14 and he was a wonder kid back then. I think he had a 90 over a potential and stuff. So
Yeah,
I used to always buy him, and he was such an amazing player in that. So I always kind of followed him. Then he went to Everton for loan, where he had a decent performance. And I think this season he hasn't been um, that amazing. But I think this time, and I think Lampard is also not. I think Lampard is quite fond of him.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess yeah, and I think
We'll see.
Chelsea could use Ben Chilwell, yeah, as a left back. I think that is a
If they
possible
go for
transfer.
him, I feel like if we start talking about the midfield and attack, there's many aspects to cover. So we'll keep that for the next podcast. So, so, so we'll end this right now, and if you're talking about Chelsea, we'll bring out more topics in the forthcoming podcast. So, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.